Um, let's go ahead and talk about Pedro Neto because that deal seems to be back on. And you guys are probably like, back on? It was never on in the first place. Arsenal were interested in Pedro Neto 2 seasons ago when we went after Rafinha. After we couldn't get Rafinha, we wanted to get in Pedro Neto. But in regards to what's going on right now, Arsenal are back on the trail of Wolves winger Pedro Neto. Arteta is keen to bolster his forward line, and the Wolves and while Wolves would be reluctant to lose Neto, their ongoing financial fair play issues mean a sizable transfer offer would put that resolve to the test. And so this is not new. Like Arsenal had asked about Pedro Neto over the summer. And so if Wolves do have financial fair play issues and they need to sell somebody, Arsenal could go in there with a decent, you know, offer and probably get Pedro Neto in January. But when we say a sizable offer, when I'm thinking sizable, because again, they were asking for 60 million the first time when he was broke down, like injured. They wanted 60 million. So in January, when he's their only like goal scorer creator, we're talking 80 million, especially with the comp of Mudryk out there. So anybody that thinks we're going to get Pedro Neto for 50 million in January, we're not. We're not. It's going to be a big fee, and it's probably going to be the only signing that we make in January. You're not going to buy Tony for 80 and Neto for 80, especially with our inability to sell. So it's going to end up being one or the other. And I just want to read out the original. This was from August 21st, 2022, where David Ornstein had, put out a report saying Arsenal's transfer priority is Pedro Neto. Discussions for over a month. Arsenal to George Mendes, Mendes to Wolves. Wolves don't plan to sell the 22-year-old winger yet. Arsenal can't spend excessively, so deal is not easy. So the interest has been long-standing and well documented, and so Arsenal desperately need a player like Pedro Neto. I mean, if the troubles with Saka have not highlighted them before now, now that like Arsenal just don't have the same dynamism, 1v1 ability with Trossard and Vieira that we do with Martinelli and Saka. And the way that our system is set up, because our fullbacks don't really offer the overlap, our wingers have to be able to create and be isolated 1v1 for the majority of the game. People don't like it, people don't love it, but that's the way the system is set up. Your wingers have to be kind of like standalone. And Saka and Martinelli are some of the best in the world at what they do. A lot of wingers could not operate without overlaps and having to be so isolated and create as well, because Saka and Martinelli are also tasked with creating goals too. They get quite a few assists. So, Pedro Neto is somebody that fits that mold. And the thing is that watching him this season, what you see from him that Saka doesn't necessarily have, that doesn't mean Saka's not a good player, by the way, before I say this, is that Pedro Neto is, I think, a better 1v1 dribbler than Saka, which is something that we don't have necessarily. I think Martinelli has a great burst and he has like a very quirky style of getting by his marker, but I wouldn't consider him like a 1v1 like dribbler, if that makes sense. Like he's just a very, very good player and just knows how to get by his marker. Saka is a little bit more of a combination player, a little bit more of a creator. I actually think Saka's more of a midfielder than a winger, if that makes sense, like a traditional winger that's going to take his man on 1v1 constantly. And I do think Saka and Odegaard rely on each other very much so in that pocket because they combine well for each other. But Saka, he's not really like a 1v1 demon. Now, that's not saying that he never gets by his man or anything like that. Hear what I'm saying? Pedro Neto is probably just a better 1v1 dribbler than Saka. But Saka is still an elite player. Like, let's be serious. So having somebody that can isolate, and go 1v1 against some of the better defenders, like watching him get by Ake several times was something that I think Saka has struggled with. I think when Saka comes up against the more center back, fast, quick, good 1v1 defenders, he struggles a little bit more. I think he struggled against Dallo, struggled against Ake, where Pedro Neto kind of has that ability 1v1 to get by them. So it would give you a different option. Pedro Neto can also play on the other side. Now, again, I know Arteta loves his inverted wingers, but you would still have the opportunity to put him on the other side if you needed to. So speed, directness, 1v1 ability, has end product on him now. And it scares the defenders. I think Arsenal really should be looking at this 100% because he's a really good player. Now, the injuries are something that people consistently talk about. Um, if he could like the thing is in January you are kind of like hoping that he's beyond these injury issues. I was saying that get through the entire season and see whether or not he can stay fit. But Arsenal are kind of, I don't want to say we're in a dire situation, but if we want to buy somebody in January, we need to start working on it now. So we may not have the luxury of being able to wait the entire season to see if he is fit enough, or can maintain his fitness. So it's a little bit of a risk, but at the same time, he looks better than he's pretty much ever looked. He just looks the business. And if we want him, you might want to go ahead and get him in January because if you wait till the summer, you may not, you don't know where we're going to finish. You don't know where we're going to finish, what we're going to look like. And that might hurt our ability to get him because there'll be more suitors and we don't know where we're going to finish. So I really do like the idea of Neto as an Arsenal player. So let's see what you guys are saying. Prime Henri says Neto is like Dembele and St. Maximum, great dribbling, but where's the end product? Tony all day for me. Well, if you're looking for end product, Neto has the most assists in the league right now. He has 4 assists and he has 1 goal. So that is end product for a winger. That's better end product than like 90% of the wingers in the league so far. Neil says Liverpool will be knocking on the door if they lose Salah. Exactly. And, Liverpool for me are going to finish comfortably in the top 4 and probably are the closest to challenging Manchester City. So, they will be a good option for him. So, we need to kind of use the little bit of like, we're in Champions League, we're fighting for the title, maybe a little bit of you're an Arsenal fan. Come on, come on, come on, and get him over here because in the summer, who knows where we'll be. Um, let's see. Prime Henry says fair enough, but historically his numbers aren't great. But he's a young player. He's a young player, and I think young players do take a little bit longer to like. I think Martinelli and Saka have also like skewed what people think young players are like. It takes a while to kind of like build up that consistent end product. We've been spoiled by Martinelli and Saka, and they also it's because they've been playing for such a from a young age consistently. I do think that they've kind of skewed what young players are kind of like. He also missed an entire season with a knee injury. But this season, he's showing in a dead Wolves side, a Wolves side that traditionally does not score any goals. Like, I still do not understand. Like, since we've known Wolves, since they've come up from the championship, what have we been saying? They need to score more goals. Even under Nuno Espirito Santo, they're so good defensively. They have these players. They have Jimenez. They have Traore. They have but they need more goals. We've been saying that for like 5, 6 seasons now. Where are the goals? And so I come into the season again with no goals in the team. But the only guy that seems to be able to create anything is Pedro Neto. So I take all that into consideration, his age, the fact that he missed an entire season, and it takes a while to develop that consistent, like end product. And so he still needs development, but who else has it? I look at players like Matoma. I don't necessarily feel like he's like, I mean, call me when you score 15 goals, buddy, because Martinelli is already done that. He's a great player, but people don't talk about his end product, which isn't like outstanding at this stage. He's 26, so um I think Neto has a very high ceiling, especially if he could stay fit.